not A, not B, not C. No discernible logic. No alphabetical order. No frequency-based arrangement. Just a seemingly random jumble of letters that billions of people have memorized and use every single day without ever asking the most obvious question imaginable. Why? Who designed this? Why did they design it this way? And, here's the real question. Was QWERTY actually designed to make us type slower? The answer is stranger, older, and more contested than you probably expect. The QWERTY layout was created by Christopher Latham Sholes, a Milwaukee newspaper editor and printer who co-invented one of the first practical commercial typewriters in the late 1860s. The machine he built, which would eventually become the Remington No. the first mass-produced typewriter, had a keyboard. And that keyboard evolved through a series of iterations between 1868 and 1873. Sholes's very first prototype used a piano-style keyboard, keys arranged alphabetically in 2 rows. And here's where the legend you've probably heard enters the story. That story says the alphabetical arrangement caused typists to jam the machine, because typing common letter combinations quickly would cause the mechanical type bars to collide inside the machine. To prevent jams, the legend goes, Sholes deliberately rearranged the keys to slow typists down, separating common letter pairs and forcing the fingers to travel farther between frequent keystrokes. This story is compelling. It's also, according to most typewriter historians, substantially incorrect. Here's what the actual historical record shows. The early Sholes typewriters did have a jamming problem. But the jam wasn't caused by people typing too fast. It was caused by the specific mechanism of that particular machine, where the type bars would snag on each other if activated in rapid succession in certain combinations. Sholes's layout changes were iterative and practical, made to reduce the specific mechanical collisions that occurred in his specific machine. Some letter pairs that commonly appear together in English text were moved apart, but this was to solve a specific mechanical problem in a prototype machine, not to universally slow down all typists forever. Moreover, when you actually analyze QWERTY's letter placement against English letter frequency, it doesn't look like an attempt to slow anyone down. The letters E, T, A, O, I, N, the most frequently used letters in English, are all on the keyboard's home rows or easily reachable positions. S, H, R, D, L round out the top 12 and are similarly accessible. QWERTY is not obviously a slow layout. What Sholes was actually doing, modern researchers believe, was optimizing his layout for his specific machines, incorporating feedback from telegraph operators who were among the first professional users of the typewriter, and making pragmatic adjustments based on what actually worked in the real typing environment of the 1870s. The layout that emerged by 1873 was the result of engineering iteration, not a conspiracy against human productivity. In 1936, a man named Dvorak received a patent for an alternative keyboard layout he claimed was dramatically more efficient than QWERTY. The Dvorak simplified keyboard placed the most common English letters on the home row and arranged them to maximize alternating hand use and minimize awkward finger movements. Dvorak's claims were extraordinary. He argued typists using his layout would be 35% faster, make significantly fewer errors, and suffer far less finger fatigue. He had studies, including a famous U.S. Navy study during World War II, that appeared to support these claims dramatically. There was a problem. Dvorak conducted or directly influenced many of the studies that supported his layout. Later, independent researcher Earl Strong reanalyzed the data from the Navy study and concluded that Dvorak's interpretation was flawed. Properly controlled studies comparing QWERTY and Dvorak typically show differences of around 5 to 10% in speed at best. Significant but far from the revolutionary advantage Dvorak claimed. More fundamentally, by the time Dvorak was promoting his layout in the 1940s, there were millions of trained QWERTY typists, millions of QWERTY typewriters, and an entire professional training infrastructure built around QWERTY. The switching cost, retraining every typist in the world, replacing every keyboard, retooling every typewriter, would have required enormous resources in exchange for modest gains. This is what economists call path dependency. Once a technology becomes sufficiently entrenched, even a genuinely better alternative struggles to displace it, because the cost of transition exceeds the benefit of improvement. So here's where we actually land on the QWERTY question. It wasn't designed to slow you down. It was designed, iteratively, pragmatically, imperfectly, to solve a specific mechanical problem on a specific machine in Milwaukee in the 1870s. It became standard not because it was the best layout ever conceived, but because it was good enough at the right moment, with the right commercial backing at the right scale. And once 50 million people learned to type on it, the question of whether a better layout exists became almost irrelevant. QWERTY wasn't locked in because of genius. It was locked in because of momentum. The keyboard you're using right now is 150 years old. The layout was finalized before electricity was in common use, before the light bulb was commercialized, before the telephone existed. And you use it every day without thinking about it. That might be the most quietly extraordinary thing about it.